You gonna test it first?
Fine, I'm gonna test it real quick.
Sound good?
Oh, we good. We good.
Kind. All right, hey, Shalom.
So I'm walking.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, Ruben Teach Will, Wabarakathum, and to the hopeful elect. All right, today through the spirit, we're doing a video entitled Defies Logic, right? This brother of Warga here, two younger brothers at the GMS Dallas branch. And through the spirit, we're just going to give a little exhortation, because you can, oftentimes we fall into being in that spirit of trusting in, our own saving power or what Esau taught us versus understanding how powerful Yahweh Yahweh Shai is. Because he's beyond fleshly comprehension or fleshly logic. And that shit will have you getting scared. You might be lower on funds or, you just get in situations where the Lord tests your faith. And you got to understand that the Most High defies logic. Matter of fact, I have a precept. If you can get one, if you got one too.
Not Isaiah 55. You didn't have that.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Let's go.
I'll read that real quick. Let me share it. This is Isaiah 55 and 8. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord. For as the heavens of the earth, yes, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Just going to the point, adding on to the point of the priest, as he's mentioning how the Lord defies logic, and he's outside of this fleshly, this carnal prison on particular things. He's not bound by Newton's law. He's not bound by other particular things as a priest is going to, man. That Lord is outside of all those things. I remember I watched the video, and the video and they was saying like that what makes him the most high, you know? That was it though.
I had a quick precept. If you can get Luke 1:37 on there. And before I read it, you're not gonna be able to pull this up on the screensaver. But I got this etymology book. And when you get that word logic, it says before 1378, logique, system of reasoning. It says borrowed from Old French, logique. It says learned from borrowing from Latin, logica. It says reasoning, art, idea. And then you go down a little bit more, you jump down. It says the meaning of use of argument, reasoning. So ultimately, when you're reasoning about something, you basically bringing the facts together. You see, in a lot of the things that we deem as facts, Esau's knowledge, because science means knowledge, and a lot of Esau's knowledge is bullshit. When it comes to the Most High, he's above that. So if the Lord sends a famine in the land, he can still make sure the prophets eat. If Esau is putting all this shit in the air, the Lord can make it wait for his prophets to still be able to live, and so on and so forth. Because the scriptures speak about how the Lord's mercies are renewed day by day. Because Esau is doing all types of things to try and destroy us and overthrow us, but through Yahweh Shem Rashah, we're still able to serve the Lord. The elect is being preserved.
You said Luke 1?
God, Luke 1 is it 30? It's either 37 or 67. You scroll down a little bit. There we go. 37.
Yep. This is Luke chapter 1, verse 37. For with Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, nothing is impossible.
Yeah, because he's above everything, man. He's omnipotent, which means all powerful. So if there's evil, guess who brought it? That's Amos the third chapter. If there shall be evil in the city and the Lord have not done it. If there's natural disaster, the Lord is doing that. If there's a famine in the land, the Lord sent the famine. If there's war, the Lord is having a war happen. If it's a spirit on somebody to make them wild out and go kill somebody, the Lord allowed Satan to put a left hand angel on somebody to go do that. So when you have that understanding, you'll know that a lot of these situations that we get tested with, the Lord is in control always, man. So we can't get fearful and get scared. That's why we're not to fear Esau, because the Lord is controlling Esau. That's Proverbs 16. It says the Lord have made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of doom or the day of evil. So Esau is in control of the Lord is in control of Esau. He's not doing his own thing. You got it, bro.
God, I was just going to get that Proverbs 16 you mentioned. I'm trying to see. Right, it's Proverbs 16 and 4. Since the priest mentioned it, I'm reading it. Says Proverbs 16 and 4. The Lord Yahweh, so like the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, have made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Just laying back and after preach point, he already mentioned it. Our Lord's in the control of all these things. Even when you read an example of that, you read is um during the time of Job, Satan wasn't able to do what he wanted to do to Job. He had to do according to what the Lord allowed. Same thing for us. So as we approaching these times, as we get closer and closer to receiving salvation, Lord be those men, the Lord's going to have particular things happen upon his earth, and these are all going to be by the way of his will. And his elect is going to prevail by the way of his will. You read about that Isaiah 55, Isaiah 46, how at the end of the day, the will of the Lord will stand. It lets you know what that the Lord, at the end of the day, the Lord is the common denominator. He's controlling every single thing, whether it's good or whether it's evil.
Kind, yep.
Did you want me
Kind, yeah. Bible Kashai. If we can go to that Sirach, the second chapter,
uh,
and then if you got some, of course you know you got it, bro.
practice it?
Because that chapter goes into like what we're gonna go through in our walk. Because a lot of the hell that we catch is really just the Lord teaching us something. It's either the Lord teaching us something or making us have to forsake a particular thing. You see, so when you have that mindset of despising not that, you know, having an optimistic mindset, like, oh, the Lord build me up. I'm just gonna continue to keep serving the Lord no matter what happens. That's the kind of mindset you have to develop to serve Yahweh Bashem Shah, because he's gonna put you in situations where the logic look like, oh damn, I'm fucked. Ain't no way out. But you got it, bro.
It's their meekness. But this is Sirach, also known as Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I'm starting at verse 1. It says, My son, if thou come to serve the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, prepare thy soul for temptation. Verse 2. Set thine heart aright and constantly endure. Make not haste in the time of trouble. Verse 3. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last. You there? Dang, is something happening? Something happened on my end? Oh, there we go.
Kai, yeah, I'm back. Somebody called
I
me.
bet.
I didn't have it on Do Not Disturb. It's a lot here.
Okay, I got you. I'm
Yeah,
reading
that
from
shit.
the
That shit
top.
over. Yeah, but I was gonna speak on what you read, because you read that says, if I come to serve the Lord, prepare us over temptation, because you're gonna get tested. A temptation is a test. You being brought with a choice. And it says set thy heart aright and constantly endure, because you got to have the mindset of understanding that, okay, I'm being tested. You can have a mindset of thinking I'm just condemned, I'm through, because endure means to be made hard, like you continuing, not quitting. You see, because Lord wants us to, he wants to purge out a lot of that weakness that we got in us. And in order for that to happen, you got to endure.
Hey, like you saying that's that James 1. It says that patience having a perfect work, you know. That's what you just said. I'm gonna read from verse 3. Did you want me to read to a point, or you just want me to just read through Sirach 2? I'm gonna read verse 3 though. It says, Sirach 2 and 3, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mightest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take carefully, and be patient without change to a lower state. And since I quoted it, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it out. That's James 1, right? Hold on, let me myself. I'm gonna get to James. Hey, hold on, Akin, for one moment. I gotta send an invitation to the brother Godal right quick so you can join. So give me one moment, real quick. One moment.
All right, Salakia, my bad, bro. It's fucking
Let me.
Satan, Dre.
I'm sending an invitation to Godal real quick. I sent the invitation. I sent the invitation to Godal. I'm gonna get this James real quick to back up that verse 3 in the Sirach
Con.
2 I just read. The verse 3 and 4. I'm gonna get this James real quick. Let me read that Sirach 2 and Sirach 2 verses 3 and 4. Again, it says, "Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou change to a lower state." See, now I'm gonna get this. This is James chapter 1. James 1 and verse James 1 pretty much saying the same thing. But it says James 1, I'm sorry, verse 2, it says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations." In other words, be thankful you're undergoing these particular tests. It's going to explain why. It says, "Knowing this, that the triangle of your faith work of patience." You see, so these particular, right, the priest mentioned, essentially understanding that the particular things that is being brought upon you is essentially for the Lord, for the betterment of you. You see, because we read it right here, it says, it says, "Knowing this, the triangle of your faith, so the development of your faith work of patience." Patience is long suffering. Read verse 4. "But let patience have a perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." You see, so do those particular things that the Lord put us through, those are for the betterment of us at the end of the day, a lot of the times. The hell, you read about that in Romans 8. It said, "All things work good together to those that are called according to his purpose." You see?
Con,
I'll go back
we
to
got it. We got on that rock. We got to go down to verse. We got to go down to verse 5 for sure.
God. I'm jumping back in that Sirach. This is a Sirach chapter 2, verse 4. I'm reading 4. It says, "Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient without change to a lower state."
Patience going to enduring long suffering. So that's what's required to serve the Lord. You got to endure a lot of long suffering because when you in a situation where you suffering something, you want a different outcome or whatever situation you in. You catching hell because that's why you have patience. You got it, bro.
Verse 5. "For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity."
Yep, and that's the testing. That's what the testing does. But you got a lot of Lord to glorify Himself through you. You see, we get placed in them different situations, and then and when you in that fire, it's the logically looking at it, it's not going to look as if it's no way out. That's where the faith come in at. You see, matter of fact, we'll get a couple more verses.
God, I got you sure. Sirach chapter 2, verse 6. "Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way right, and trust in him.
Trust means go in that
He
faith, man. You see, it said believe in Him, and He will help thee. So you got to have belief. You see, so strong belief, and then that'll lead to the Lord changing that outcome because you believe in His saving power.
like you
You
saying
see?
that. That's what Yahweh Shah said. It's like my bad. Would you finish?
No, no, no. Go ahead, bro.
Now, I was gonna say I want to put that precept. That what Yahweh Shah said. It's depending upon me. Let me get that real quick. Let me get that real quick. You made a beautiful point. because you said the Lord to be glorified through you, right? So this is, let me get this real quick. Share this tab. John 14. This is John 14 and 12. It says, Verily I say unto you, because we just read in that Sirach, what did it say? It said, let me go to it real quick. Go back, share it. It says, it says, believe in him and he will help thee order thy way right and trust in him. So going back to John 14 and 12, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, and this is Yahweh Shah speaking, it says, verily, verily, which means truly, truly, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father, and whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, and that the Father may be glorified in the Son. See? So like the priest mentioned, the Lord allowed the Lord to show his power through you. Because that's what's essentially going to happen. We're coming to a time where the Lord's power is going to be shown through his men, which is really already happening right now. Us waking up and pushing forth his word. The only ones that can really see it right now is our enemies. A lot of these niggas out here still can't see it. But we're going to come to a time as it continues to ramp up in the earth, the place continues to get worse. The power of the Lord is going to be shown in his men. You see?
I got some.
That's all though. You got some? Do you
Yeah,
want
I
me to
don't know
pull
if
it?
you brought it out. Uh, it's gonna be Romans chapter 9, verse 17. Just the back of the point that you just
Yeah,
made.
I got you.
I'll let
I'll
you
read it
get
for
it
you.
up there real quick.
Yeah, I got it up there. I'll read it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Romans chapter 9, verse 17. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for the same purpose I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be glorified through all the earth.
Exactly. Just adding on to pretty much what you going into how the Lord gonna be showing his power through ultimately his men, right? Turning his men to instruments of war, right? Because I mean that's the whole purpose of Esau's kingdom being built the way it's been built, right? To seem like, man, who can conquer this kingdom? Who can bring this kingdom down, right?
To make war with the
As
beast.
yeah, exactly. So the exact same way how it was in the first Exodus, it's gonna be exactly the same way in Exodus Part Two. That's why we say Exodus Part Two because it's literally the exact same thing, just a different time, right? And it's with the base of all men, the last of the heathen to rule the kingdom, right? So the Lord, he's really gonna have to lift up a standard against these devils to protect, ultimately elect, whether it's giving them spiritual power or sending an angel to protect them, however the Lord got it set up, man. So he's going to show his power within in his men through all this hell and this chaos that's going to be happening, because we understand that the Lord, he's only bound by his word, right? Because he's faithful to his word. And if he said my servant's going to eat, if he said all there shall be some that shall not taste death, right? That got to happen at some point. I will lift up a standard against thee because you made the Lord thy habitation. I shall keep thee in our like Lord. He's a man of his word, right? So it's going to come to a point. That's why it says in Micah, not Micah, Daniel 12:1, that the Michael the archangel, how he has to stand up, right? Because that's how bad this time going to be. Because if he doesn't be a man of his word, well, power of his word, that will make him a liar, and we know he's all righteous, and it's a wicked thing for him to lie, right? So yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Well, even the situation right now, it's not even just Jacob's trouble because we in the beginning of the hell. But even the situations you go through consistently daily, shit, that the Lord gives you a spirit to be able to bear and endure those things. And he just somehow makes a way for something that's like it'll basically be a deliverance that shouldn't even happen when you look at it logically. Like how the hell did this happen? How did the Most High just send me this brand new job? Or how did the Lord have it set up to where this money just popped up out of nowhere to where I'm low on money and now I just got more money for some reason. You got some 401k shit that just popped up. You just got some money in your account. The Lord does things like that because what, he's above logic. You see, and that shows his saving power. Like, he's glorified whenever we get in situations like that. If bro got that Romans 4:18.
Yeah, I got you.
Kind Bible Kashai.
This is Romans chapter 4, verse 18. It says, who against hope believed in hope?
Matter of fact, you can
They
go up a
might be
little bit. So like it.
fine.
I
You
say
want me to start at
16.
God. Romans chapter 4, verse 16. Therefore it is of faith that it might be by grace, to the end of the promise might be sure to all the seed, not to that only one which is of the law, but to also which is of the faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all,
Because he
as
got
it
the
is written.
promises without having a he wasn't circumcised.
Yeah,
He inherited that beforehand, showing you that the faith was more powerful than the circumcision. And really the physical circumcision is one of the things that's of our customs and everything. But the main circumcision comes from your heart, your mind. You gotta have that that pure mindset, pure conscience towards the Lord. That's what he's really dealing with. That's that broken and contrite spirit it talks about. You got it.
hey, that's what his name is. That's what Moses said. Moses when he was in Deuteronomy, when he was reiterating the law and things, he told Israel to circumcise the fat of your heart, showing how it's a spiritual thing. It's an inward thing. It's not so much of an outward. Just add on to your point. But this is Romans 4 and 17. As it is written, I have made thee a father of many nations, before him who he believed, even Yahweh Shai, the power, who quickened the dead, and calleth those things to be not as though they were.
Yeah, it says quicken at the dead. Because now you look at that for reincarnation. And then also on top of that, you know, him bringing somebody from a dead state of mind. You see, but Abraham had understanding on this. That's why, yeah, when you read this chapter, he was willing to sacrifice Isaac because he knew that the Lord could raise him back up. He knew that the Lord could somehow, some way, make Isaac inherit those promises.
Yeah,
Even though in the situation he told Abraham was told to slay Isaac, sacrifice him, make him a sacrifice. He knew you weren't supposed to sacrifice humans, and then he was like, "Man, if I kill him, then how he gonna inherit my promises?" But he believed anyway. You got it, bro.
that's a heavy point. Going to the faith of Abraham. Abraham had that faith where the Lord was outside the box. That's the thing with a lot of niggas. That's why I like to make a point here and there, you know, like don't have an expectation on how the Lord will deliver you. Just have an expectation that the Lord is going to deliver you. Because when you have an expectation on how he's going to deliver you, then you're gearing it toward, okay, he's only going to deliver me this type of way. And which, I had that problem in the flesh because I just been thinking like, oh, spiritual powers is really a fire. No, we have spiritual powers right now. Us being able to break down these dark saying, that's spiritual power. We're able to foresee the future through these scriptures. That's spiritual power. It's just not looked at in the aspect of very flashy, but we have spiritual powers. So just adding on to your point, like don't have your mindset geared towards, oh, the Lord's gonna deliver me like this. Like the person gonna kick down the door. I had a vision, Lord gonna do it like this, so he probably gonna do it like that. That's probably the way. Nah, he might not do it that way, you know, but he will deliver you in some way, form, or fashion if you love his elect. There's gonna be many ways we get delivered. Individual might walk in the fucking house to take your ass, and they might not even fucking see you. There's gonna be many ways the Lord's gonna be. Just have an optimistic mindset towards the power of the Lord, because the Lord is not inside of the box. He's outside of it. He's outside of the process of being outside of the box. He's outside of the concept.
He created the box.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? Also, another thing too is you gotta understand you gotta believe. If you believe the Lord can save you, He'll save you. But if you don't believe,
Mhm.
but you got to be willing to believe even through circumstances where the logic don't look good. That's the thing. You can believe, but you got to believe even when the logic or the scenario you in, it look like it ain't no way out. You got to still believe anyway, because that's when it gets hard. Because you might be in a situation where shit, you thinking, oh damn man, I'm fucked. Oh dang, I'm in like imagine Daniel in the lions den. There's some big ass lions in there. He and there was some big ass lions. They had the lions starving. They didn't talk all that shit about how he finna get mauled, and he just in there with the lions and stuff. The flesh was doing his thing, but guess what? He knew that he had faith, and guess what the Lord did? The Lord had Habakkuk transport him some food, and he had the lions not even regard him. They was starving lions. They just said, I'm not messing with them because the Lord controls the spirits of everything. So he had the lions not even worry about Daniel while he was in the lions den, and made sure Daniel ate. You see, but then when those other men came, they didn't have that covering over them. Guess what the Lord did? He had the lions eat them.
They didn't even hit the ground.
I got
I
something.
got two precepts for you real quick. You said you got some good dog?
Yeah,
You said what?
yeah, yeah. I do. It's just one
Oh,
though.
okay. Okay, what you got?
Matthew 19 and 26.
Okay. Matthew.
Just add on to that y'all point.
This is Matthew chapter 19, verse 26. But Yahweh shall beheld them and said unto them, with men, as a matter of fact, um, did you want me to start up or are you just gonna explain the context of it?
Um, I mean,
Because it's going to the rich man.
yeah, the rich man. Uh, no, just read. I'll get the content. I'll explain it.
Okay. God, this is Matthew the 19 and 26. But Yahweh shall beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with Yahweh Bahashim Shai, all things are possible.
And just to give some backdrop on this, earlier in the chapter, basically it was a rich man that came up to Yahweh Shai, pretty much, in a prideful sense, talking about what I lack. But he Yahweh Shai asked him, "You lack one thing. You got to sell all that you have and come serve me." And he didn't want to do it. And then was it in verse what 24 or not 24? 21. Yeah, 24. It says, it's easier for a camel to go through a need of an eye than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of the Most High, right? And the disciples like, dang man, shit, who's gonna be able to make it? But the Lord basically reassured man, anything is possible. Well, no, with man this is impossible, but with Yahweh Shem Shah, all things are possible. But to put into perspective of what we're going into, letting you know how you really can't put the Lord in the box because He can really do anything. We gotta keep in mind. There's gonna, brothers say it all the time, man. There's gonna be people on the chariot that we be like, how the hell did you get here? All through the power of Yahweh Shem Shah. Even no matter what situation you in, you got to remember the Lord put you in the situation. He could get you out. You might not know how or when He gonna do it, but you have to know that He's able to do it and continue to believe on that. And when it happens, the only thing it's gonna do is just solidify your faith even more. You know, just adding on to what you
Well,
said. So,
hell, the Lord rose men up that was fucking dead already,
yeah,
multiple times, countless times.
That's
What beyond logic? What's more beyond logic than that? So if the Lord has the ability to raise somebody that's already dead, your spirit is in the spirit world. He just put it right back into the body, raise you right back up. What's more unlogical than that? And then, like basically speaking from a sense of like a regular person, a regular carnal individual. You see,
yeah.
the Lord and gave men spiritual power and things like that. But I wanted to reference that point of the raising somebody up because it's like death is like the thing that most people fear in this world. But the Lord has the ability to raise you back up from being dead.
Yeah. But they like you saying that it all begins with your faith. And Yahweh Shai. No, Yahweh Shai. He said you're gonna do the works I do and greater. What's one of the works Yahweh Shai did? He rose from the dead. That's one of the works. That's one of his works, him rising from the dead. I want to pull this real quick for you. Let me jump back to the Romans. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. You know, because you can't walk by the sight, because the sight of everything is logic orientated. You know, when you look at the sight, you're looking at it. If you're looking at the sight, that's the carnal perspective on something. Faith is the spiritual perspective on something. We gauge with a spiritual perspective on things. When you gauge with a carnal perspective of things, you're gonna be bugged out. You're gonna be like these individuals out here, because the particular things the Lord's put us through. That's why the Lord put us through all these certain things. That's what He did with David. You read about it in 1 Samuel 17. He put David through a series of tests so he could work on David's spiritual perspective on it. Okay, I'm being put through this. The Lord saved me from this, that. Versus having a carnal perspective, I'm just a young boy, and this is a fucking lion. You know what I mean? So when it came to Goliath, the Lord already exercised that muscle of faith where he had a spiritual perspective. They're like, okay, it don't matter if this nigga fucking 9 foot some, 10 foot some. His fucking, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what. It don't matter what's in front of me. As long as the Lord's on my side, it doesn't matter. As long as the Lord's on my side, like we just read in Matthew 19, for the Lord before you, no, I mean for the Lord, for with the Lord, anything is possible. And then study and say, okay, there might come a point where the Lord might not be able to get you. That's why Scripture say the Lord's hand is not short and it cannot save. Like the Lord constantly exercises his omnipotent power and his complete sovereignty over all of creation. He always exercises it. There's nothing that's outside his will. There's nothing that's done outside his will. And it didn't happen. It happened because he ordained it. And that's why Scripture say we have a sure word of prophecy, man. Because everything the Lord said he gonna do, he did. He brought it low. He brought it back to the obedience of the scriptures. And that's how we know Esau gonna go down. And that's how we know, okay, Esau was brought up due to prophecy, he's in rulership. And by prophecy, he's gonna be brought down. And by prophecy, he's gonna try to make war with the remnant of the elect. And by prophecy, the Lord got us. But I jump back to the Romans, unless you want me to get another precept for you.
Oh yeah, we can finish that Romans out.
God, this is Romans chapter 4. I'm gonna read verse 18. It says, who against hope believed in hope,
He
that he
was
might
against
become
hope
the
because the sight of the situation. You just read the scripture, walk by faith, not by sight. He didn't have nothing to hope in that situation, but he believed anyway.
mm,
You see, that's basically what it's saying. He didn't
I don't
have
know
no
if you
like.
read
Okay, if the
that.
Lord said, I'm about to give your son all these promises and do all this, and he telling you to kill your son. It's like, okay, you see, he was in a situation where he had no reason to have hope, but he did anyway, and that's the spirit that we got to have to endure these times.
Yeah. I'm gonna read it in the NLT for you if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
This is Romans 4:18 in the NLT. Even when there was no reason for hope, Abraham kept hoping, believing that he will become the father of many nations. For Yahweh Shah has said to him, that's how many descendants you will have.
He
And
kept
Abraham's
believing. The logic, like it was no reasoning, it was no type of way, like facts wise. Okay, if I kill my son, how is he gonna spread his seed if he's dead? But he believed anyway because he knew the Lord could raise his son up if he actually ended up going through that. He knew the Lord was so powerful that he can do that.
man, that's cold, man. When you really think about it, that's heavy. Cause it's like, dang, Abraham was thinking like, dang, if my son be gone, the Lord gonna find some way, form, or fashion where the promises is still gonna be established because he's a power bound by his word. And he was like, he believed like he could raise him up, because of course he would have to be alive for that to happen. But the Lord, hey, it's crazy. Abraham's being optimistic in faith right there, man. And that's the faith that we aspire to exercise as we undergo our trials. Because that's essential for lead us to salvation right there. I'm gonna read where are they at? Verse 19 for you. I'm gonna see what it say. I'm reading in the KJV. I'm gonna see what it say.
Now you can get it in NLT.
Okay, con. But this is Romans chapter 4, verse 19 in the NLT. And Abraham's faith did not weaken, even though at about 100 years of age, he figured his body was as good as dead, and so was Sarah's womb.
Yeah, and that's hey, check this out. He was at an age where you're not supposed to be able to have kids no more, and even Sarah. But then the Lord still had to settle to where he had Isaac. You see? So yeah, how about Shah was working all types of miracles in Abraham's life to glorify his name and glorify him. And guess what Abraham did? When Abraham did those things, he glorified the Lord. He knew where that deliverance was coming from. So we gotta have that same mindset. That's all I want to know in that chapter, unless y'all has I
I
want to
wanted
get
to read some
Hebrews
more.
11. Oh yeah, go
Can
ahead.
I read some more on there? You don't
Yeah, go
mind?
ahead. Yeah.
Con. I'm gonna read the next verse too, man. It says Abraham never wavered in believing the Lord's promise. In fact, his faith grew stronger, and in this he brought glory to the power. Sheesh. Abraham's faith increased in that trial. He was like, man, I believe more. And he said he was fully convinced that the Lord is able to do whatever he promises. You see, and that's the mindset we gotta have. I just said that earlier to the spirit. You know, the Lord promised salvation unto his elect. Now of course we know that there's a particular specific type of salvation from the missiles the whole elect is going to receive, which is being in the church. We know that. But leading up to being preserved to get to that point, it's going to be different ways the Lord preserves his elect. It's going to be so many different ways, and all these particular ways is going to be him glorifying himself through his sons. Whether he give you spiritual power, where you get beheaded saying Kwam Yasharal, and Esau like, damn, I just beheaded this guy and he fucking screaming Kwam Yasharal. This dude's crazy, you know. They looking at you that a lot of times when somebody Esau's greatest tactic is to use the fear of death, and if he can't use that against you, that scares him. But that's what the elect gonna have. We don't fear death through the powers for the Yahweh shot. Because according to his promises, what did Paul say? Paul said, nor death, nothing could separate you from the love of the Lord. So even though we might be brothers be put to death, be a martyr, it's not going to separate them from the Lord. They're going to receive. They're still going to receive the salvation. They're going to be resurrected and taken up on a chariot. You see? So I'm reading a little bit more. It says, and because of Abraham's faith, the Lord counted him as righteous. So this and know are you law sayers. Abraham wasn't considered righteous because of the works of the law. He's considered righteous by his faith in Yahweh Shai. But that's all I had. You said you want to heat. Well, did somebody else say something? I think a dog. You said you had some.
Nah, I already got it. Remember,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
first.
I'm just gonna get Hebrews 11 and then go to verse 6. That's all I had.
God. This is Hebrews chapter 11,
Well, I mean, like start
verse.
at the top and then go to verse
Oh,
like down to
oh,
verse 6. Yeah.
okay. All right. I'm gonna start at the top. It says the triumphs of faith, and I don't know if y'all can see this, but y'all see that one foe man called Lord Yahweh from Shai. I don't know if I can see that on the thing. Yeah, y'all can see it. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, well, in my little search bar, it says 144. So called Lord Yahweh from Shai. But this is Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
It says substance things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, because evidence basically proves something. But you got the proof without actually seeing it. So it's a gift that the Lord got to bless you with to have faith. That's why Ephesians 2 says faith is a gift. So to be able to have evidence in your mind where you can't see the evidence, that's of a spiritual power. That's a gift, right? That's what faith is. You can't see the evidence, but you still know somehow. Your conscience. You got it, bro.
Yep. Verse 2. For by it the elders obtained a good report.
And a lot of these letters are letters that Paul was writing to these different churches or different Israelites that was dealing with new believers that was from certain areas. You see, so certain men they what received a good report because of their faith. You got it.
God, verse 3. Through faith we understand that the words were framed. It's
That
like,
says worlds.
yeah, I'm reading again. I said worlds. Hebrews 11:3. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen are not. It's like, so which are things so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear.
Yahweh Shai was the word, man. You see, he was an embodiment of the word. And that's who created everything. Because like that's the only spirit that the Heavenly Father created. Everything else Yahweh Shai made. But it says by the words, because when you a power, you can speak things into existence. You see, and we're gonna and our desire to be at that number. The governing body, they finna be doing miracles like that again, man. Creating stuff.
I just
And
want to
also,
speak that
see,
word.
I see. I also see how it says world right there. That age, because that's what
Yeah,
that's that precept goes into in that Isaiah. The world of Israel shall never be a non ending world. Basically talking about the eight
yeah,
like Israel will always exist. It wasn't
yeah,
talking about actual like worlds. So that's basically what's going into, man. But Yahweh Shah created everything. He set up people to be in power. He set up like everything was set up by Yahweh Shai.
yeah. Man, con. It's verse 4. By faith, Abel offered up to Yahweh Shai a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Yahweh Shai testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh.
Yep. So hey,
Verse
because guess what? Abel was remembered, and then the Lord judged Cain for what he did to Abel. You see, because Abel had that sacrifice. Abel gave that sacrifice with faith. Cain didn't have faith. Cain came in a spirit of unbelief.
disorder. Yeah, disorder.
Yeah, disorder. Because what is it? Because like if you, because like think about it, somebody actually believes that the Lord will judge them. You actually believe in what the Lord told you to do and His plan, then you gonna execute it. But if you don't really believe, you ain't gonna do what the Lord told exactly what the Lord told you to do. You'll bring that bad sacrifice. But you got it, bro.
Yep. Verse 5. By faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death and was not found because Yahweh Shai has translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased the Lord.
Oh yeah, man. He had that witness. And he basically Lord was so pleased with how Enoch was moving that he delivered him out of there. He's like, "No, you ain't going to judge these people. You see, I'm gonna get you out of here." And that's gonna be the same thing. We're like through the spirit of the elect, we're like spiritual Enochs. We're gonna be in this perilous, wicked ass world with all this evil wickedness happening and jacked up positions. And then the Lord is gonna deliver His elect, make ways for us to escape out of it. And the ultimate escaping is gonna be when that second death is hidden, going into that chariot. Verse 6 is the last one I had.
Verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
Because you can't, the Lord ain't dealing with somebody that don't believe in His saving power. When you look into a lot of those movies, which this point that the Spirit have you bring out every once in a while, a lot of those movies, the guys get their power by people believing on them. You see, which the Lord, the Most High, He's not. He's well beyond that. But that it shows you that's the significance when people believe in Him. That's why the Lord takes care of His believers so much because they're important to Him. You
Yeah.
see, and that's what pleases the Lord. And it said also that you must believe that He is, which means you got to believe He exists. You gotta believe in His divinity,
You gotta believe
and
Yahweh.
Him being the first,
Yeah.
the creator, the first. Like basically, He created Yahweh Shai, and then Yahweh Shai created everything else. He gave Yahweh Shai the blueprint to create everything else. But that takes a belief to actually believe that. And then it said, "A rewarder of them that diligently seek Him." So you showing diligence, you hastening your mind to do this work and to serve the Lord. He gonna reward you for that. So that'll lead to you continuing on and enduring, no matter what you got to go through. But the point of it is the Lord defies logic. So if you wanna stay in His truth, you got to understand that you're gonna be in situations that the reasoning and the facts ain't gonna add up, and you just gotta have faith. And the Lord will see you through, but you gotta believe that He can see you through. You see, and we're gonna be in even harder situations as time goes on. Speaking of myself first and foremost, we're gonna get in harder tests, harder situations, especially as they start rolling in on us more. And then Esau start coming down with more great wrath. Hey, you gonna have to have some faith, man. They probably make a fake ass got a fake fucking thing of you trying to grape a girl or anything like that. It's gonna be some shit you going through, and the Lord gonna be testing our faith. But we gotta still have faith because He's above all this.
So if you don't mind.
But yeah, that's all I had. Y'all can get y'all last priest. I'll
Yeah, I
close it.
got one for you. I got one for you because this is James 1 and verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, my bad, not that one. 6. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. As the priest mentioned, the Lord ain't like these idols. He ain't like these idols, these Greek gods where, a lot of their strength comes from the prayers and the beliefs of the believers. But through your belief, the Lord could work on your behalf. You see, like the priest mentioned, how the Lord, he takes care of his believers. So if you believe in Yahweh Shai, he will work on your behalf because it's like we always talk about it. It's conditions to the marriage. Your belief, your servitude unto the Lord leads to him reciprocating that same love and granting you salvation. You read about that in Psalm 91. It says how because he have known my name, I will set him on high. That ain't talking about, I know the name Yahweh, I'm good. No, it's kind of you believe upon the reputation of those names and the standard that comes along with those names. So you're going to carry yourself a particular way. And since that, because even when you're reading that chapter, you're going to you making the Lord your habitation, you submitting unto the Lord and how the Lord is going to be there for you. So I'm gonna read this all the way through James 1:6, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth like the wave of a sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You see, so if you believe, we come to the top, the Lord ain't with that wavering shit, man. The Lord ain't with that wavering shit. You have fast, don't know you calling on him, but you don't know for sure if he's gonna come to your rescue. Dude, the Lord's not he not dealing with that. Because if that's the case, if you thinking like that, that means that you don't look at the Lord as your uno numo if I'm even saying it right, uno. You don't look at the Lord as your essentially your one all be all saving power. I mean
Your
that you feel
plan
like
A.
that there's some yeah, the why. You
Niggas
don't
got
look
they
at the
got
Lord.
plan C, B, and D. You got that. Lord's got to be
Exactly.
plan A, and this is no other plan. It's not no plan B or plan C. It's just plan A. If I may add too, like you were going into, you basically said, you said that double minded and everything. Well, we have moments where our faith isn't all the way 100%, and that's the point of the grace period. Because a lot of
Mhm.
Israelites, they're not gonna be building up their faith in this grace period. Because you have moments where you're not fully, you know, that's why the Lord has His grace period for him to build up our faith through these situations and these trials. But if you got a spirit of not trusting that process, then you'll be destroyed by it. You'll be taken by it.
Water.
Cause
That's all that.
that's the grace period for shit. We had moments where we are we ain't all the way. Like look at the apostles. They tried to cast out the demons, and Yahweh Shah said, he basically said y'all faithless. He was telling them, he said that this goes by fasting and praying. This demon goes only by that. But he casted away the demon. But they faith wasn't on a high enough level. So that's why we in this grace period to build up our faith. And that comes with, of course, you study and reading. The more you know, the more the stuff you take in, just what you can believe in. But also, these situations make you have more faith because you trust in the Lord, and then the Lord make a way for you to escape the situation. So your faith grows. But yeah, that's all I had, bro. Y'all got anything else?
Now you got it.
Hey, hey, Lord willing is edified. We'll end it all by saying, call hello, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, a great millstone, root teach well. Till next time, come my Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Oh, shit.